I'm here today with Barbara Bray MBE for Services to Food Nutrition. Barbara is an internationally known healthy aging nutrition expert. She was recently one of the faces of fresh produce at an exhibition at Fruit Logistica. She's also a TEDx speaker, and she's also has a regular podcast, which is Women Positively Aging. We're here today to talk about the healthy aging diet. Thanks very much for joining us, Barbara.
Thank you so much for having me. Healthy aging diet is a topic that's dear to my heart, as well as being the topic of my PhD study as well, so I can talk about it forever.
Oh, great. Well, did you want to give us a bit of a backdrop then to why we're here, to what we're talking about?
Yes, of course. Now, in the UK, it's worth noting that men and women who are 65 can expect to live only half of their remaining years in good health. And I think this needs to change. We need to increase the number of years people are healthy. And one of the ways we can do that is improving our diet. So diet is one of the factors that can impact healthy aging. It's not the only one. We know that things like low income, poor housing, poor air quality, social isolation and loneliness, there's a whole list of factors affecting healthy aging. But diet and what we eat is modifiable. So it's a modifiable risk factor for chronic disease. So the longer we can keep people eating well, the better the health outcome.
Okay, excellent. And what are the areas of, I suppose, well, food and health that we can focus on?
Good question. Let me start by taking you back a step. So if we look at our National Diet and Nutrition Survey data, it's released every 12 to 18 months, and it measures the consumption of the whole representative group in the population. And it's showing us that we aren't eating a healthy diet. So if you think of the Eat Well guide, that circular shaped image that shows the fruits and vegetables and animal and plant proteins and carbohydrates and so on that we're all supposed to eat. So we're getting our 5 a day, obviously. We're not eating in that pattern, which is obviously good for our health and good for the planet. So it's not just older people who have got the problem. We need to look at the whole population. Obviously, my research focuses on those over 65, but I have realized that there's a point in midlife where people start stressing about how they're aging and what they want to do about it. And there's some statistics that I'd like to share with you on that. So the Centre for Aging Better has published the average age of diagnosis, and it shows that in our 40s, the average age of diagnosis the average age of diagnosis for depression and mental illness. Our 50s is when you start seeing alcohol dependence, type 2 diabetes and chronic pain. 60s, hypertension, cancer, coronary heart disease. 70s, cardiovascular disease, heart failure, chronic kidney disease, and 80s, dementia. Now, that's not to say that we're trying to eliminate all chronic disease or everybody's going to get all of those things, but it just gives us a snapshot. And actually, from a healthy aging point of view, WHO defines healthy aging as the process of developing and maintaining the functional ability that enables well-being in older age. So we can still manage with 1 or 2 issues, but we want to try and reduce that risk. And that's where a good diet comes in. So the longer we can eat well, the better the outcome for our health. So that means that we need to be looking at making sure that we have a range of fruits and vegetables in our diet, a good amount of healthy fats, picking a very diverse diet from each of the different parts of the diet spectrum. And I think what tends to happen as we get older, we get a bit rigid. So if you think when we're younger, we start to get into an eating pattern and forget that as we age, our needs as an older person are very different to those as a young person or a teenager. But we might have kept the same diet that we had in our 30s all the way through. And we need to make sure that we're getting the right levels of protein, not eating too much of the wrong types of fats, or having a balanced intake of fats and animal proteins and plant proteins and the fruits and vegetables and everything that we need. And that's really important because it's not a one size fits all. Men and women need different amounts of food and different types of food. And it also depends on your lifestyle. It's about taking that into account and the things that affect you in your life. So if you get divorced or widowed or move back in with family, whatever your changes are, you need to adapt your eating patterns. You might have more time on your hands and be doing more exercise. Again, adapt your eating patterns to your lifestyle.
Okay. And what about if I am adapting my lifestyle and I'm going to the retail shop where am I going to see that? Is it going to be jumping out at me saying, eat me, or what's going to be happening?
I think in the last 2 or 3 years, we've started to see a lot of changes on shelf, partially because there's been a lot of pushback from consumers and lobbying groups saying there's too much unhealthy food out there. But you're seeing ranges like Thrive in Waitrose, and everyone's got their own range, from Sainsbury's to Marks and Spencer's to Morrison's, starting to push out more healthy food. But what I really liked is what I've been seeing in Asda early in the year. And I don't yet know whether that's going to work, but it's more about a customization, which speaks to what I just mentioned earlier about the types of issues and illnesses, chronic disease that we accumulate as we get older. And they've now badged things under heart health, bone health, brain health, immune health. So rather than going to get your meal deal where you go and say, right, what's for dinner tonight? I'm going to pick these 3 items and that makes my dinner. You're able to say, I'm really worried about my heart health. I can see that on the shelf here, it's got products which are badged specifically to help me manage my heart health, or products specifically that are badged to help me manage my bone health. And I think that customization, because it's going to be hard for retailers to give us a personalized diet, but that customization that says, if you're keen to manage your immune health, this is the shelf space for you. You don't have to think. We've done all the heavy lifting for you. We've taken away that having to make too many choices and bombard you. Just go and pick from here. I think that's really clever.
I know I was did a little bit of research for this, and I was going out around a few of the retailers, and I saw there was like one of your 5 a day. I saw lots of things like high in omega-3, high in fiber, animal fat, or whatever, high in protein. But I suppose you're talking about one stage beyond that, aren't you?
Yes, it's grouping the things. So, for example, high in omega-3, what does that mean? Well, from a heart health point of view and a brain health, if you had that section, you'd put those foods in there. So, yes, you need to put the legal claim high in omega-3, but what does that mean to the consumer? If I'm trying to improve my health, is that something that's relevant for me or not? And by putting these ranges together that say, if you're looking after your heart health and brain health, this is what you need. If you're looking after your bone health, this is what you need. It takes the angst out of the shopping decisions. You might have a list and a menu plan, but actually now it's getting more sophisticated.
I did, I know I was in Sainsbury's and I came across the Flourish range.
Yes.
And I ended up buying a few. There was some soups that stood out, which looked really good.
Yes.
And there was sort of a ready meal type thing, a chicken-based meal, and then there was some canned product. So I was quite impressed with that. There wasn't a huge amount of it out there, but I suppose we're not there yet, are we, really? If you look at some of the previous things like, I don't know, gluten-free or plant-based or whatever.
And I think therein lies the problem, because gluten-free and plant-based, it speaks to one mission, doesn't it? And people have got too many choices to make. The chatter, I think for women, we all talk about having at least 12 conversations in our head at any one time, and arguments with a partner that's not even in the room. There's so much going on in our heads that you just want to make an easy decision. And if somebody says gluten-free or plant-based, you're like, right, pick it, put it in the basket. Yeah. It's easy and it's done. And I think we need to move on from that, so people aren't going down one narrow focus. They're looking at having a diverse diet. And I think this customization, it stretches that out a bit and says, this holistically solves, this is the solution for this particular problem that you want to solve. So we're not just focusing on small portions and weight loss and increasing our fruit and vegetables. We're doing it in a way that's really focusing on improving our health outcomes.
You're sort of talking about a new market, really, aren't you? With the do you think the manufacturers are on board at the moment? Obviously, there must be some of them, because I can see the product out there. What are your thoughts?
I think there's a missed opportunity still. So if you take people's products, if you've got, I don't know, somebody who makes omelettes or tortillas, for example, that would fit into a few different ranges. So I think we need to step away from badgering things very narrowly and seeing how one product can serve different niches, just by making sure that you reference it and market it in the right way and speaks to a particular solution. People are shopping for meal solutions. They aren't shopping because they really love the provenance of this product. What are you going to do with it when you buy it? We all like to go and do the whole farmers market thing, supporting this, supporting that. What are you going to eat when you get in, Den?
Yeah. No, helps me.
And that's what it's about.
Okay. Listen, that's really, really interesting. Thanks very much for that. I know if our listeners would like to hear more, we can line up a conversation with you, line up a meeting, but also they can check out your podcast, Women Positively Aging. Thanks very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.